Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com. Today I was watching this video, this interview with DMX, the rapper, and I think that my friend S.T. Brown at Jet Magazine was actually doing the interview. I heard the questioner, which I couldn't see, and I heard a voice. I said, "I think that's Tia." And if you remember, Tia and I used to do financial lovemaking back in the day. You can probably find the episode somewhere on the internet. But anyway, I watched the interview, and I watched it because DMX is kind of an intriguing character to me. Literally had the world at his feet, and unfortunately, he's made a series of decisions that have put him in very bad situations. He's gone to prison. He's very open about his drug addiction and all these other things. And I'd also heard some buzz about his appearance with Iyanla Vanzant on the Oprah Winfrey Network, which I guess it's good for ratings, to see this sort of drama and this clash, and the OWN network is really promoting this, and it is what it is. But I can say that when I listened to DMX talk, I really felt sorry for him. He didn't make any sense. He seemed to be very erratic, and he was kind of all over the place, and it just kind of talking in a way where you're like, what is he talking about? And in fact, my friend Etan Thomas actually said on Facebook that watching the second interview made him not want to see the first one, and I agree. I mean, the poor guy is unfortunately pretty messed up. And I thought about this video because I was thinking that this is an opportunity to really talk about drugs and alcohol in our society. Even just today, I was writing about Kevin Hart and his arrest for DUI, or somebody asked me about it, and I wrote an email to him, just responding to a media query about it. But you know, I think that one of the things that we have to understand is that to advance as a people and to advance as individuals, I think it's very important that we tell our kids to say no to drugs and alcohol. Even if you start with alcohol, people don't understand. Alcohol was rated by researchers to be the most dangerous drug in the world. That makes it more dangerous than heroin, more dangerous than crack, more dangerous than crystal meth. Part of the reason that it's the most dangerous drug in the world is not because of the potency. Crack has far more potency, obviously, but because of the fact that we're sleeping on that drug. We don't think that we think it's harmless. So you let something at toxicity level 5 in your home because you think it's safe, and you block out everything with toxicity level 10, but you don't realize that that stuff you brought in at level 5 is what's going to destroy you. Alcohol destroys so many lives, and when I see DMX and I saw the Kevin Hart thing, I really thought about my uncle slash older brother figure who just died, and I've talked about him very openly because I loved him so much. I looked up to him. He was my primary role model in life, and I watched drugs and alcohol just destroy him. That conjoined with time in the prison industrial complex, he suffered from mental illness for a very long time. When I look at DMX, I see a man who is clearly mentally ill, and I think the mental illness was spurred by drugs. A lot of people seem to get it confused. When they talk about Lil Wayne, they'll say, no, his drugs, the scissor, didn't give him all the seizures. It's because he's epileptic, or he has this condition. Or they'll talk about Cat Williams and say, no, the drugs isn't what's making Cat Williams wild out. It's because he's bipolar. Well, don't you think that using drugs and constantly throwing off the balance of your brain chemistry could cause you to become bipolar, could play a role in facilitating and accentuating some of the ailments that might have remained dormant if you had been a healthy person instead? There is a connection between drug use and mental illness. I don't care what anybody says. I think that if you're already on the border of being schizophrenic or bipolar, whatever the case may be, snorting cocaine is not going to make it better. So I think that one of the things, at least this is what I'm learning. I'm not telling you what to think or what to believe, but here is what I think, and I'm going to go ahead and lay it out for you. I avoid drugs and alcohol at all costs. I don't drink. I've drank maybe a couple beers in my life. I drank one shot glass of whiskey or something when I was in college, just to see what the feeling was like. And I understand why people like it. But because of the alcoholism in my family, and because of what I've seen, because I've seen so many people destroy their lives due to drugs and alcohol, I've always said, you know what? My brain is my most valuable asset, and I'm not messing it up for nobody. I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where I don't know what I'm doing. I don't want to wake up the next day in a jail cell because of some stuff that I did while I was high. Do you know how many people are in prison for 20, 30 years for something they did while they were high? They thought they were going to go out and party and get high, and it turned into a life sentence. I think it's important that we talk about this because we got to tell our kids, just stay away from that stuff. Don't even take that first drink. Definitely don't hit that first weed, and don't get into all that heavy stuff. And it's a hard debate to have because you got rappers talking about popping Molly and smoking weed and getting drunk and high and bragging about how high and drunk you are, and that just makes me mad. I ain't gonna lie, it pisses me off because nobody in the history of the world has ever accomplished anything by sitting around getting high and drunk all day. The high and drunk person is the idiot, the village idiot, the one you're laughing at. That's not the man who's going to go out and conquer the world. That's not the man who's going to go out and do things for his family. That's not the man who's going to stand up when you take his stuff. That's the man you step over and you laugh at him because he's sitting around as a drunk, high idiot. So what I say is we have to really rebrand this notion of what it means to get high and drunk all the time and all that stuff. There's nothing about that kind of behavior that correlates in any way with meaningful manhood. And I think that's important for our boys to understand. And our girls need to understand that too. When you talk about these things that are happening with date rape and all this other stuff, I agree. Rape is wrong no matter what the circumstances are. But I told my daughters when they went to college, don't go get drunk off your butt to the point where you don't know what you're doing. And then, you have a right to get upset if a man takes advantage of you. But understand that that's what's going to happen if you go out here and you are irresponsible. So again, I think male or female, we have to talk about the dangers of drugs and alcohol. One of the gripes I have with many college campuses is that we take alcoholism too lightly. Many campuses, and Syracuse University is one of them, it seems like we produce almost as many alcoholics as we do college graduates. And it's not just Syracuse, it's a lot of schools across the country because everybody thinks that when you go to college, you're supposed to drink every weekend until you throw up. Well, guess what happens when you do that? You become an alcoholic. I literally can think of people I knew as freshmen who went to college, who did not drink, did not use drugs, and now at the age of 40, they are drug addicts and alcoholics from where they started as college students. Many of them, maybe they were pledging a fraternity at the time and got into partying, or maybe they weren't Greek and got into all that. But the thing is, to some extent, the adults around them are responsible for those decisions because we did not warn them. We encourage them. We act like it's okay, like it's just a part of being young. Well, no, you're not going to put that on me. I'm not going to have young people getting hooked on drugs and alcohol and then looking over and saying, well, why did you warn us? Here's my warning. I'm warning you. Alcohol and drugs will ruin your life. I've seen it happen a lot of times. I've seen people get killed in drunk driving accidents. I've seen people commit heinous crimes under the influence. I've seen people become addicted to the point where they lost everything. Lost their families, lost all their money, lost all their respect, lost self-respect, were raped, killed somebody. You name it. All the way across the board, I have seen it. And in many cases, I've seen it happening on college campuses. So people who don't like what I'm saying, go ahead and get mad at me. I really don't give a damn because we have to speak up on this type of thing if we're going to protect our kids and help them elevate in the next generation, because we know racism is real, and we know also that we're only worsening and exacerbating the impact of racism when we're sitting around getting high and drunk all day. You're sitting around like a damn fool. You don't want to learn how to read and you want to get high and drunk all day, but then you get mad because the white man won't give you a job. When really you should have been off of those drugs and away from alcohol and up working hard every day and getting your education and starting your own business so you don't have to ask a white man for a job. That's where I stand. So again, forgive me for getting emotional about this, but I'm very emotional on this issue because it's destroying too many lives, and I'm just done with it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to hear about it. I have very little patience for it. So that's my 2 cents on the issue. I'd love to hear what you guys think, but just understand this is where I'm coming from. I keep it honest. Well, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com. Please take care. God bless and have a wonderful day. I am gone. Peace.